Hi everyone, I'm John. I'm one of East Lothian Council's countryside rangers, and you joined me this morning in my garden where I'm just about to empty my moth trap. So I thought I'd make a wee video just to show you some of the things that I've caught. So if you're not familiar with moth trapping, you've never seen it before, then basically I'll lift the trap up. Basically all the trap is, it's just a very bright light on top of a box, and the light attracts the moths. Why does light attract moths? Nobody knows, but it does, and they're attracted into the light. They go down into the box, and in the box are a number of these egg boxes. It's all very high-tech here, you see. And these egg boxes serve as something like an egg box moth hotel. And so the moths can come and they can settle inside these egg boxes overnight. And different moth species will be flying around at different times during the night. So you might get some which are a little bit leery, coming in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they can find their own private room in the hotel to curl up in without disturbing all the other ones that have turned in at a much more sensible hour. Well, that's the theory anyway. And so I find it really fascinating, good fun to set the moth trap and see what's flying around there in your garden under the cover of darkness. You never quite know what you're going to get when you turn over the boxes and take them out. But it also serves an important purpose as well, so we can use the data that we gather from these moth traps to send to our local recording schemes and our national recording schemes, and it helps to give an idea about the health of our environment and whether our moth species are doing well or not so well. So what I'll do is I'll start taking some of these boxes out of the trap, and we'll see what we found. So, okay, box number one. Oh, nice, excellent. Okay, so we've got some nice things in here. I'll hold these up to the camera and hopefully you can see these. So we've got one here called a pebble prominent. Now, I wonder if you can see this one. So it's quite a hairy looking beast. So it's got really hairy thorax and legs at the front there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring that into the camera a wee bit. So that's a pebble prominent. And we've also got this one here, which is a poplar kitten. I find them with the moths, some of the names are just absolutely fantastic. Really imaginative and descriptive. So this is the poplar kitten. And a lot of these moths are named after the food plant of the caterpillars. So in this case, the caterpillars feed on poplar and another species of tree. We've also here got a least black arches, if you can see that one. So much a smaller moth and white coloured. Ooh, and then on the other side, this is nice. So a much larger one again, brownish colour. So this is called a scalloped hazel. If you can see that one there. It's got that scalloping shape, the indentations, the waviness, wiggliness if you like, on the back edge of the wing there. And again, with hazel, as its name suggests, the caterpillars will feed on species of trees, including hazel. So that's a great start. Fantastic. Okay, what next? Okay, so we've got a nice black and white one in there, a broad bordered white. Ooh, and then underneath, so this is an interesting one. Under there, this sort of brown shaped moth. I don't know if you see the detail very well on that, but this is a species called a shuttle shaped dart. And this species, maybe 5 years ago or more, this wasn't seen anywhere in East Lothian. So this is one of the species that has recently arrived into the county, and then now it's becoming quite common. And it's called a shuttle shaped dart. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got on its wing the shape of a shuttle, sort of a shuttle from an old loom on the side of its wing there. Great. Okay. What else? It's like some kind of game of Jenga as well, when you're trying to take these egg boxes out without disturbing all the others. So what we've got here. So we've got a small square spot, so a browny sort of reddy colour on there with a wee spot on it. Okay, well, not so easy to see, but there's a wee moth in there that's poking up called a bee moth. So it's a real variety, and I'm always very biased in these things, but I think moths are far more interesting than butterflies, much more diverse in their number. So there's well over 2,000 different species of moths in the UK. and any colour you imagine, you think of a colour and there'll be a moth to match that colour. They're really, really diverse. So what else have we got in here? Okay, so this one in here is called a grey pine carpet. That one in there. So there's most moths fall into two distinct groups. One called the geometrids, which is like this one here, so quite like a butterfly in shape with their wings held out at rest. And interestingly, they're called the geometrids because it comes from two words, geo and metrid, meaning measure earth. And if you've ever seen caterpillars, like looper caterpillars, and the way that they walk like this, and it was seen that they were measuring out the earth as they went along, which I think is really great. So they're the geometrids, geometrids, measuring out the earth as the caterpillars go along. Great, okay. Now what? You don't always get something on the boxes, so that one's empty. So I'll put that one there. What else have we got? Another empty one. Building the suspense. Yeah, there we go. Nice one here. So there's really quite intricate patterns again, if you can see them on the camera here. If it's not coming out, then we'll post some pictures up on our Facebook account so you can see these a bit better. This is one called a dusky brocade. A dusky brocade. Again, I don't think we'll see the patterning so well on this. There's a really quite intricate patterning on some of these, and this is a species called shears, like garden shears, and it's called that because it's got two marks on the wing that look like a pair of shears. So that's shears on that one. So we're already getting a great variety of species. And at the end of this, I'll record all those, note them all down, and we'll post those results again on our book as well, Facebook page, so you can see that. Okay, this is a really beautiful one. If you can see that in there, really distinctive shape. This is one called a purple thorn. Absolutely beautiful. If I can turn that in the camera there, that really nice, beautiful purple coloration on it. And they always rest with their wings held up at an angle as well, so they're quite distinctive in that respect as well. Oh, we've got a couple of called brown rustics underneath, and they're like that. So they come in all shapes and colours and sizes. Okay, a few more different ones in there. So there's another bee moth in here, and another grey pine carpet, if you remember those from before. And then this is a new one that we've not seen yet. So this is brown silver lines. So again, great names. So that's brown silver lines there. Okay, and it's not just moths that are attracted to light. So other species as well are flies, wasps as well. So you have to be a bit careful when you turn in the boxes over. Things like caddis flies as well. So a number of things attracted to them. Nice one as well. So another one of our geometrids, the earth measurers. This is called the clouded silver. Really beautiful white moth with a dark greyish sort of dusting on them there. Okay, oh yes, and I did mention, so we say that it's not just moths that are attracted, so as you can see in there, there is a caddis fly in there. They look superficially very much like a moth, but the thing that makes moths and butterflies is they're in a group called the Lepidoptera, and they're made up of tiny microscopic scales that lie like roof tiles on top of each other, which give them their structure. So that's what differentiates, what separates that group from all the others. We've got a powdered quaker. It's quite hard to see. So actually the coloration of these moths is all about trying to not look like a moth. Excuse me. Trying to not look like a moth. And so on these egg boxes they look quite obvious because the shape stands out. But if you imagine that resting on a leaf or maybe some bark or something like that, then all the colours and the shapes on the moth's wing are about breaking up the shape of an obvious moth to make it just look more patchy, and then it can blend in and it can camouflage better in its natural surroundings. Okay, one more to go. What have we got on here? Oh, nice. So we've met these before, so here's your test, what those are. So the big one there is a scalloped hazel, and the one next to it there, if you can see, is another shuttle shaped dart. And then on the other side we've got one in here called a heart and dart, and again you might not be able to see that in there, but it's called a heart and dart because it's got two shapes on its wings, one that looks a bit like a heart and one that looks a bit like a dart. One other in there, a little brown and yellow one called a light brown apple moth. Light brown apple moth. Okay, so that's all the boxes, and then the last thing that we do is we have a wee look inside the trap itself, and there are a few in there that have not wanted to go into their room at night, into the egg boxes, so they've just stayed out. So if you can see these, we've got in there, we've got a cinnabar moth. So these are quite commonly encountered flying around during the day. They've got these bright, colourful warning signs because they're full of toxins, things like cyanide. So not very palatable and tasty for a bird to eat. So those colours are to warn against anything trying to eat them. We've got a silver ground carpet. We've got a muslin moth in there, and something called a small phoenix. So you may not be able to see these, but we'll post up some pictures on our Facebook page afterwards. So hopefully you've enjoyed that wee video of moth trapping. If you're interested in learning more about moths yourselves, then you can contact us on our Facebook page with any questions or any moths that you've seen that you'd like a little bit of help to identify. And even just around your garden, you don't need a moth trap, so you can go out with a torch at night and look at the flowers. All the flowers that are getting butterflies during the day will have lots of moth on them at night, so you should be able to pick some up with a torch overnight. So good luck with your moth spotting, and do let us know how you get on.